What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Another big week ahead here. Actually, a lot of stuff happening in crypto this week, or the markets in general this week. So, yeah, lots to talk about. Hope everyone had a great weekend here. Um, Getting right into it. So, clarity updates. I mean, Coinbase kind of posted this as if they posted it this morning, I believe. Yeah, they posted it this morning as if it was like a brand new update. Not really a brand new update. But yeah, it's true that a draft has been released, and they merged the Senate Banking and Agriculture versions of the Clarity Act together. This happened last week, though, on like July 22nd. So I don't know why they're posting this as if it just happened, but yeah, we talked about it on a past live stream. So they included a new ethics update. So this was the big thing that was and still is actually holding back the markets a little bit, and if this is like trying to figure out if this is going to pass or not. The big thing is this ethics thing about specifically targeting Trump. I've gone on a big rant about this in the past, so I won't do it again. But the main summary here is that they don't want like Trump or any politician to be able to profit off of crypto while they're in office, which is fair. My whole take on this is that, like, okay, turn this into a whole ethics bill, because this is happening in the TradFi markets also. It's not just happening in crypto, which is kind of dumb that they're like, this is the only thing that is holding back such an important bill. Like, the Clarity Act is incredibly important for the whole industry to move forward, and for all of this innovation to not be moved off, like, and the only thing that's holding it up at this point is this ethics provision, as I talked about in other live streams. Pretty sad, but there's still hope. I think the odds of it actually passing at this point are still only they have it at like 38 or 40% or something around there. But there's a bunch of big names like backing it now. All of TradFi basically is backing it, which is good to see. It's good to see that like all these big names are like getting behind it and everything like that. However, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's um, yeah, it's sad that like this ethics like provision is still holding it up. The main person who's like fighting against it, and Democrats who won't like kind of the leader of the Democrats at this point, at least in the Senate, is Elizabeth Warren. So for those that don't know, I mean, everybody's probably heard of Elizabeth Warren. She's been anti-crypto for so many years. She's basically still advocating that the ethics provision is not good enough, and the bill should be dead on arrival. So they still might have like a little bit of work to do on rewording that, and trying to get, basically they have to get like, I don't know, like 6 or 8 Democratic senators to sign off on this in order for it to pass the Senate. And if it passes the Senate, then it moves to Trump's desk, and he can sign it. So they still have a little bit of work to do, because there's still people like Elizabeth Warren that are just adamantly against this. But she's, like everybody knows, in bed with the big banks. And while I showed that a lot of TradFi is starting to get behind this, there's still a lot of banks that are adamantly against this, because it's going to be very bad for banks if crypto starts to really take over, because it removes the middlemen, removes their ability to be rent seeking and collect all these fees. But anyways, like Warren is just a terrible person. She only cares about the people that fund her campaigns. And like, for those that don't remember, she actually, like, when she was running for Senate in one of these last midterm elections, or whenever it was, she actually campaigned specifically against crypto, saying that, like, she actually made this is a thing that she actually made, saying that she's building an anti-crypto army. And she's been against crypto for so long, because again, who are the main people that finance her campaigns? Well, it's big banks, and big banks are against crypto. So it's super sad that like stuff like this, like industries and innovation, can't stand on its own merit, and that like people in the Senate and in government in general just like barely represent the actual wants and needs of the people they're said to be representing. It's pretty sad, but I guess this is politics, and this is why I'm libertarian and against big government, and think it should be minimized as much as possible. I don't think that we should completely get rid of government. That would be anarchy, and that anarchy always leads to tyranny. But I believe that governments should be as small as possible, just to provide the main services like fire and police and stuff like that. But yeah, like, let's look at the latest on Clarity right now. So yeah, it says 38% chance of passing. So the main thing here is that I think they still have to reword a little bit of that ethics provision. I'm pretty confident still, actually, that this is going to pass, despite it only having 38% odds. My a guy I know, a lawyer in the industry, Jake, who's pretty well known. He always says that like these bills always look like they're about to die until the last minute, and then in the last minute, people, yeah, whatever, they make quid pro quo, or whatever you want to whatever you want to call it. They make these backroom deals, and they, like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and then all of a sudden these things end up passing. So basically, the last deadline for this Clarity Act, in order to get it in before the recess, is August 7th. And so it looks like probably next week, I would say, is kind of the critical moment for this bill, and probably when a lot of these backdoor deals are going to happen. And I expect that next week we're probably going to get like an updated, like revision on the wording of the ethics provision, and or whatever's going to happen in these backroom deals. And they're going to get like 6 or 7 or 8 Democratic senators to sign off on this, or at least verbally commit to it, and then they're going to throw it up to a vote. So that's probably going to happen next week. So next week is going to be a huge deal for crypto. Stay tuned. Like, it's going to be wild next week. Like, there's going to be a lot of like back and forth on this, and this is going to be like all over the headlines next week, I'm sure. Because if this doesn't pass before the recess, and before it's basically nothing's going to happen before the midterm elections. And then depending on what happens in the midterm elections, this bill could die if it doesn't pass this next week, basically, because it's pretty, like, it should be bipartisan, but unfortunately it just hasn't been. And like, of a sudden the Democrats take the House, or the Senate, or both, then basically this bill is probably not going to pass during the next 2 years, during Trump's remaining term. So that's a scary thing to think about, because I don't know, like, I've talked about this before, but the main reason why I really think that Clarity needs to pass is the developer protections, and just the overall protections that it gives the whole industry, in order to like keep innovating and keep the stuff like innovating in the West, especially in the US, and like not move it overseas, and not have developers like Uniswap and all these people that got attacked during the last administration, like fearing for their projects, and like not wanting to innovate, not trying new things, not trying new tokenomics, all that sort of stuff. Like, this stuff is super important. You can't live in fear and innovate at the same time. It's very difficult. So yeah, let's see what happens. I hope it passes. I'm still confident that it will. I made this post. I very much agree with this. Like, if it doesn't pass, I'm so confident that it will. But if it doesn't pass, I hope that like Coinbase goes out on like they did during the last election, and like really point out like every single politician that is anti-crypto and that has voted against this stuff, and like call them out publicly. And I hope that people, like, the will of the people can be done through voting, and people can go out and vote with their actual feet, to like go out and vote, and like get rid of these senators and these like House members who are voting against this stuff because they're acting in the best interest of their these lobbyist groups and the people backing their campaigns instead of the will of the people, because it's very clear that the people want this passed. A lot of people are very interested in crypto, and this is only going to grow in adoption with AI. And it's in the people's best interest that this passes. So if it doesn't pass, it's because of these lobbyist groups and horrible Congress people. So I hope people can go out and vote against this stuff if it doesn't pass. But let's see what happens next week. I'm still pretty confident. I would give it like a, I know that Polymarket's given it like a 38% chance of passing. I'm personally giving it like, I'm more on like 70% right now. I think it's got a pretty good chance still. So let's see what happens next week. Next week is crunch time. On the markets talk still, some interesting stuff has been happening. So the markets are rebounding, still on the uptick right now, despite like negative news in the markets. Last week we talked about on this podcast how like there was like a bunch of like blood boiling again between US and Iran, and the markets kind of just ignored that. And I think the reason for that was, well, one, because this clarity is still looming and is going to be a major catalyst, but also because like nobody really believes what's going on with the US and Iran anymore. It's kind of just like I don't know. It's just like a show at this point. And once again, the whole fear around the US-Iran situation was halted again, as they are now back to the negotiating table apparently, and they've agreed to halt strikes again, and the whole markets are up based on this. Obviously, oil down because it's negative for oil prices, which is a good thing for inflation and good thing for the average consumer. But yeah, oil down, gold up, Bitcoin up, Ethereum up, overall like markets up. So this is why you're seeing like the markets continue to move up here, because that fear has been taken away yet again. Also, another interesting chart here. I love charts. So for the first time in a very long time, USDC exchange flows have flipped back to the net inflows. So it's been like a pretty brutal, as you can see here, this giant iceberg. This has been happening since May, essentially. So it's been like a very rough summer of outflows. People just like exiting the crypto markets basically. Stable coins like USDC are a good indicator of like money in, money out from a market. So USDC has been like net outflows since May, and we finally you can see in this little tick right here, we're just going back to net inflows. So usually what happens like back here in September, October of last year, you can see a similar thing where you have a giant iceberg of outflows, and then it ticks positive and it goes major positive. So I'm expecting like a bunch of big inflows here, especially if clarity hits next week. We're going to see a surge of inflows back into the space. It could be pretty wild, and this could be a very good indicator of a bottoming here, and hopefully the start of the next kind of major bull market, at least putting in the bottom. So I'm not expecting like a full-fledged bull market this year, but definitely putting in the bottom, and kind of up from here could, obviously with ups and downs, but higher lows, higher highs and higher lows are what I'm expecting over the next year here. And then going into 2027 should be a bullish year, and then 2028 should be a full-fledged bull market again if everything continues the way it usually does in the crypto industry. So yeah, that was the markets portion of this docket. Lots of other stuff I want to talk about. Also want to talk about Base and Robinhood, because these chain wars have been kind of eating up a lot of attention over the last little while. So as everybody, at least if you've been following me or you've been following X, there's been a lot of hype over Robinhood over the past few weeks. And now that things are kind of starting to die down a little bit, I want to kind of give it a little bit of a check to see where we're at. I mean, so the main thing that was like leading this Robinhood attention was meme coins, and the main meme coin on Robinhood has been this Cash Cat meme coin. And I was talking about this when it was up in like one of my first live streams. We were talking about, it was like up here in the 20 million $200 million range. It was like straight up only, basically. And I was warning everybody, telling you like, hey, these things are lottery tickets. They always follow the same pattern in the end. They go up very fast and then they go down just as fast or even faster sometimes. So like watch out for the bottom to fall out of this thing. And as you can see, it has, let's see, it's come down what now since all-time highs, 84% now. Off all-time highs. So yeah, I mean, this is the same thing that happens all the time with meme coins. Meme coins have their seasons. Everybody gets into them, and if you're just following on X or wherever you're following on the socials, like these things induce FOMO. Like they're always trying to get you to rush into these things and act emotionally. So you have to be careful. You have to take a step back, zoom out, and think and look at the bigger picture. Meme coins have their seasons, like I said many times, and many tweets. They're like lottery tickets. They're fun to trade, fun to play. Maybe you hit it big, but like the vast reality is that most people are going to lose money on these things. So you got to be careful. But yeah, on the whole Robinhood base subject, the main thing that has been kind of pushing Robinhood into the attention sphere for so many weeks now has been meme coins. So like Cash Cat, like I said, has been one of the top meme coins. Another one that's been happening recently has been like this new meta that started up around meme coins paired with stocks. I went on a whole rant about this. Check out my last live stream. So I'm not going to go into it again, but I just think that this is like, I'm very pro. I love the idea of stocks coming like online in crypto and these tokenized stocks. I think it's a great innovation and a great thing. Pairing them with meme coins, however, I'm I'm bearish on this idea. I don't think it's a good idea. All you're doing is you're taking one thing that has like great intrinsic value and pairing it with something that has zero intrinsic value, and it's going to be very bad for the liquidity providers. And it's just a way for these meme coins to get even more people wrecked, because they're going to go up and down even faster because they're paired against something that has like way better intrinsic value. So I'm not bullish on this idea of pairing them together, but I do love the idea of tokenized stocks. And this is Robinhood's whole model, is going after these RWAs and tokenization of everything. I think it's a great barbell strategy because meme coins, while they are short-term, short-lived, these seasons that they go through, they do keep coming back time and time again. People love to trade them. It's a part of the culture now. And so it is a good strategy. Like I said, not a fan of pairing them together though. Like you can see the top one here was this AI artificial Inu, it's called AI token, and it's paired against NVIDIA. And again, it's the same pattern that you see with every single meme coin, down 80% now since its all-time highs. So yeah, like not great if you're providing liquidity in this pool. You're getting absolutely wrecked with impermanent loss. And then if you're actually trading the meme coins, yeah, you got to be quick in these things. Like it's a game of musical chairs. How long the attention stays on one meme and then moves to the next one. So you got to be quick if you're trading meme coins. Do not treat them as long-term investments. They're short-term lottery ticket plays at their best. So yeah, watch out for that stuff. But yeah, like let's see, if you go into L2Beat, shout out L2Beat because they do great data around chains. And you can still see that Base is the juggernaut. It's still the main chain. As you can see there, number one, they have 11.9, almost $12 billion in value secured on the Base chain network, where you compare that now to Robinhood chain. It's got about 750 million. So literally Base is 15 times larger than Robinhood still. So this is why, I mean, Robinhood, great entrant. I think that they're going to be around. They've got a great opportunity ahead, and I think that they could be a major player. However, Base is still the clear juggernaut, the clear main player in the chain wars. If you zoom in, I've gone through like a pretty deep chain analysis already. I was saying that like, hey, the main flows like to and from Robinhood chain have not been from Base. Really seen any loss from Base at all. This was just my speculation going through this data on chain, but now you can actually see it live. There's some actual stats on this. Alex here, who's the CEO of Dromos, which is who makes Aerodrome. He posted a good tweet around this, so you can actually see like the actual on-chain stats here. You can see from this. So this shows the last 2 weeks, so since Robinhood entered the space, and you can see right here this darker green. This is Robinhood's market share, basically, of like what they've captured in the space, and you can see that like, first of all, Base hasn't lost anything, so I was correct. All my on-chain kind of deep dive in the past there, I was correct that Base actually didn't lose anything, and it actually has grown since Robinhood entered the market. The only one that you can actually see here that actually lost a little bit was actually Solana, and that makes a lot more sense because the main thing that was going hard on the Robinhood chain was the meme coins. And where's the other meme coin activity? Well, it's on Solana with like Pump Fine. That's where like most of the degens that are trading meme coins are. So yeah, it was actually Solana that went down in market share a little bit and lost that to Robinhood. Robinhood basically ate that up, and Base has lost nothing. They've actually only grown since Robinhood entered the market. So yeah. Base has approximately, what did Alex say here, 3x'd its share of on-chain spot volumes over the past year. And contrary to popular opinion, it's actually lost 0 relative market share over the last couple of weeks since Robinhood entered the market. So yeah, shout out to Alex for doing that on-chain analysis there and like showing charts that actually show it. Yeah, this kind of proves my speculation. And yeah, Base is still, like I said, the juggernaut, the place to be. And I have zero doubt that Base is going to continue their dominance in the future. I'm very excited to watch Robinhood Chain. Nothing against Robinhood Chain. I think like they're doing a lot of things right, and they're a very valid entrant to the space, and they have a very like good opportunity in the future here. They have a good strategy. They've got good leadership. They've got good tech. So they're definitely going to be a major player. My bet is still on Base though. So Jesse, since this time, they've gotten a lot of criticism around like, hey, like you guys aren't really supporting the community that much. First, I would argue that point a little bit, that they have done a very good job of supporting builders in the ecosystem. Like they have, for example, this Base ecosystem fund that has like backed with money over 30 plus teams that are building like on the base chain. And I know some of them like Veal, who like the developer there on Base, like got backed by the Base ecosystem fund, and he was able to like go at his project full time because of that. He had a full-time job previous to this. And there's other ones like BankerBot, same deal. Like they like Base really backed BankerBot and brought them into reality basically. And now BankerBot is like a huge $30-40 million market share project and like doing extremely well, has a lot of market share, has a bright future. So like I believe Base has actually done a very good job of supporting builders in the space. The problem is that when you have thousands of people building on your chain, it's impossible to support each one, especially financially. But I think I have been actually chatting with Jesse, who's the founder of Base, about this in DMs, and like chatting about like that gap, because there's still that gap between like the ones that they actually support with like Base ecosystem fund and the builders that are just starting out, and you don't know if they're going to be successful yet, so you can't like back them financially. You want to like see some traction first, and you want to see them. You don't just want like a founder who's going to give up over a little bit of time. You want the ones that are here for the long term, the ones that are going to stick around, and the ones that like are able to like have the talent to build up a little bit of traction first before you back them. So there's that gap between like those builders and the ones that actually get supported. And they are trying new things. And Jesse has told me this, that they're building out a lot of things to try to support that gap a little bit better. And they just announced like 30 minutes ago that they are bringing together everyone in the ecosystem to do their first like global community call upcoming on July 31st. So this is a great move. This is episode 1. And I'm sure that they're going to do this more often. So great move by Base. Hopefully this stuff kind of sticks and helps support that kind of gap that I was talking about, and helps make Base even better in the future. Like I said, my bet is still on Base being the juggernaut. I think they're doing everything right. They've got the backing of Coinbase, which has millions of users. Robinhood arguably also has this same advantage. They've got the Robinhood app that has millions of users. This is why I keep saying that I think that they are also going to be a major player. But yeah, this is just the start of Base or the start of chain wars, because like in the end, this usually ends up being like a winner takes most. But at the same time, like while I do believe that like one chain will probably like dominate 70-80% of the market share at the end of all of this, the pie is also going to grow a lot bigger. So like we're still very early in the crypto era. Like I think we're still only at like 10% or less global adoption of crypto. Probably less globally. I think in the US it's only at like 8 or 9 or 10% of the population has even interacted with crypto. So we still have a long ways to go. So the pie is going to grow so much bigger. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for everybody. It's not a zero sum game as everybody, like a lot of people make it out to be. Like I said, like while one chain will probably dominate 70-80% of the market share in the end, which is what usually happens with these things. The pie is going to grow so much bigger that even 20%, 10%, 1% of the global market, once everybody's onboarded into crypto, is still like a huge market, and it's something that can sustain like a project or an ecosystem. So yeah, there's still a lot of growth to go anyways. Another thing on the docket I want to talk about a little bit was what happened last week or the week before with Balaji. So this one kind of hits home a little bit because for those that don't know, I've been a digital nomad. I bounced around the globe. I'm now a little bit more settled, but like what Balaji is trying to build here, I've talked about this a little bit, is this like network school concept. It's basically like the first model for a network state, and it's a very interesting model. So basically like what they want to do is build this like startup society, and they started it in Malaysia, in like an island like on the coast or whatever, off the coast of Malaysia, but technically in Malaysia's country. So they had the regulatory rights to this place, and he built this like whole society around this, and like a campus basically where you could go, and they're trying to like form this like new like basically like a Silicon Valley startup society. And so they got like thousands of people into this kind of network school, which is like a network state idea where you kind of form these people together, and you become like kind of like a new digital nation. Like it's like a new concept for a like a sovereign nation state. Like you're a citizen of the United States, you're a citizen of Canada. Well, now you have like a second citizenship, hopefully eventually like it's your sole citizenship to this network state, which could become like a new thing. Instead of nation states, we have network states, and this network school is like the first concept for that. So what happened anyways is this whole startup society that he built in Malaysia, the Malaysian government decided that, hey, this is not for us. We don't want this. Basically, they don't want another Singapore happening. So for those that don't know, Singapore was at the very tip of Malaysia, and basically became its own sovereign nation. And now Singapore is like one of the most popular countries in the world. It's got like incredible GDP growth, and they don't want something like this happening again in like around Malaysia. So they basically banned his network school, and they had to like basically up and move this entire place and rebuild it somewhere else. But he just announced that as this was happening, like almost simultaneously, he signed a memorandum of understanding with the Republic of Kazakhstan, which is another country. I'm not like it's up a little bit further north in Central Asia, I guess. I don't know the exact location. I've never been there, but basically he has a new place that he's launching this network school now, and they have to rebuild the campus and everything like that. But I don't think it's going to take them very long. I think they already have like land, the location. They're going to rebuild it. But the cool thing about this is it kind of proves the whole network state concept, how this could be a thing in the future. Hasib talked about this a little bit, who's a partner at Dragonfly, who's an investor in like crypto and like a lot of these projects. Ironically, this whole drama around Balaji and the network school kind of validated the whole network state thesis. I agree with him here. So it's pretty cool what happened, that like basically you can take this digital citizenship, this like group of people who all have aligned like ethos and aligned goals, and you pair them all together, and you can actually up and move. And a physical location isn't like necessarily determinant of if this network state succeeds or not, which is pretty cool to see. So Balaji, like this image is actually a very good example of like what a network state could look like in the future. I'm gonna blow this up here. So it basically it's the combining of people together into a new digital society, or like a new nation state essentially, but online and digital, where physical location isn't a determinant. So like this is an example of a network state in the future, where like it has a population of 1.7 million, and a certain population from different places, and everybody's connected by the same ethos, the same kind of values, same goals. And depending on the net worth of each of those people, you can determine like an annual like net worth of the network state. So it's a pretty cool concept. And like I said, this whole situation with Malaysia banning them kind of proved out the whole thesis that this is possible to do this. So I'm actually pretty excited about this. And like I said, I have a vested interest in this because it's something that like hits close to home. My agents, Charles AI, who's an agent on Virtuals, he acquired Undercover Iris, which is another popular agent from the Ethereum ecosystem. So now those two agents are like literally working together and building out this new concept for another network state, very similar to like Balaji's model, where it's going to be a mix of AI agents, revenue producing AI agents, and humans together, where humans can come in as part of the citizenship, and the AI agents are the productive layer where they form the GDP, and humans benefit from the GDP growth that these AI agents produce. So anyways, they're working on this concept. I'm excited to share more about this in the future. But yeah, this is why I like talking about this network state thesis. I think it's very, very cool. One last topic on the agenda here was this that happened, I believe, just yesterday. So I want to talk about space and how it is potentially the next big frontier. So this, let's see if I can get this going here. This was wild. So Starship, which is the multi-planetary spaceship that Elon has been building with SpaceX, just launched yesterday. huge launch, successful launch, and look how big that thing is. That is absolutely wild. So the bottom part is just a booster. So it's just this white part. It's just the part that actually gets it out of the Earth's like orbit, Earth's gravitational pull, and the Starship is just the top part. The top part is the part in the future that is actually going to carry humans to different planets like Mars or to the moon. And yeah, they had a very successful launch. The whole point of these launches is to get these rockets to a place where they're rapid reusable. So like this is the big innovation that Elon is with SpaceX is reusable rockets. And the reason why this is important is because it drastically lowers the cost of transportation into space. So like imagine, for example, you're taking a plane to like from Australia across to Dubai. And every single time you had to take a plane ride, they had to throw out the airplane and build a new airplane to go back from Dubai back to Australia. Like that would be very prohibitive in the cost of transportation. Every single seat on that airplane would cost probably hundreds of thousands of dollars because they can't reuse the airplanes. So this same thing is now happening in space where they're trying to get to a place like Elon's already made the smaller version of this. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, here. So like he made the smaller ones. These are the little rockets that he builds that bring satellites to space, not humans, but satellites. So they can take like small capacity, basically like a little bit of load, and take things into space and drop them off, and then come back and they can land themselves. And the whole reason that he built them this way is that they can like reuse these rockets, and this drastically lowers the cost of rockets and delivering things to space. The next frontier of this is basically like doing the same thing but with huge starships, where you can deliver not just like satellites and small payloads, but like actual humans, and like transport them places, and then come back and like reuse these spaceships to make the cost significantly lower. So yeah, here's another good image of it. So you can see how close he's getting now. So this Starship actually went up all the way into space, came back down. It's not at a place where it lands itself yet. I'm not even sure if he's trying to get to that place or if he's just trying to get to a place where these things land in the water and they can recover them with minimal damage, and then they can reuse it. Or if they're trying to get to a place where eventually these starships can land themselves also. My guess would be that he wants to get to a place where these starships also land themselves. But yeah, you can see from these images here, like it went all the way into space and then re-landed, and like it's in relatively good condition still. So most of this will be reusable. Probably just have to do a little bit of like upgrades and fix a couple things, but getting to a place where these starships are essentially reusable. But eventually they want to get to a place where it's rapid reusability, where like I believe these things will like land themselves and basically be able to take off from that exact same location again and be able to reuse these things. Once they get to that point, the cost of going to space becomes so low that essentially you can start to build new economies in space around this, which is already happening, like I said, with the smaller payload rockets, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like he's talking about like how it's time for humanity to become multiplanetary, and that's why this whole Starship thing is a thing. So you can imagine, and like NASA actually has been talking about this. The next frontier, the next phase of this space journey is going to be building a base on the moon. So I think that's the next step, and then the step after that will be to go to Mars. But essentially, for those that aren't like too familiar with space, I'm super into this stuff, so I can talk a little bit on it. I'm not an expert by any means, but essentially, like the moon is, I believe, I don't want to get this wrong, 1/3 or 1/6, I can't remember, of the gravity of Earth. So what this means is like there's basically no atmosphere. It like costs nothing in fuel to actually like shoot off from the moon. Basically nothing. Like for example, like if they want to go like mine the moon and like take some stuff off there and send it back to Earth, essentially all they'd have to do is like make like a really like a rail cart and just like catapult it off the at the right angle, and it would go directly back um, to Earth, and it would cost like nothing in fuel. Like you wouldn't actually have to use any rocket fuel or anything like that. You could essentially just catapult things back to Earth, and whole economies are going to be built around this. Like they're going to essentially go up. They're going to like be able to like mine things off the moon or asteroids and different stuff like that, catapult it back to Earth, and not like have to eat up all the Earth's resources to get like a lot of the same minerals and materials, which is going to be pretty cool. But then also they're going to take a lot of those minerals and materials, and they're going to build up a moon base. And essentially this moon base is going to be like the intermediary. Doge designer who does like some great design stuff kind of shows us in a good way. It's going to be like an intermediary between Earth and the rest of the solar system. So like gateway to Earth, I would also call it like gateway to the rest of the solar system. Like essentially, like you'll be able to like actually take the materials and minerals of the moon and like build stuff directly on the moon. And then like you could like imagine a future where you can actually build rockets directly on the moon from the minerals and materials there, and then launch these rockets directly from the moon to Mars. It would make the Mars journey a lot like shorter and way less expensive, because for those that don't know, like the main expense and the hardest part about launching things off the Earth is like getting through the Earth's atmosphere, which is very tough. Like getting out of the Earth's gravitational pull, that is like it costs like so much money in rocket fuel, and like wear and tear on the rockets from doing that. Whereas if you actually launch things from the moon, it would be drastically cheaper and drastically easier. So I think like that's going to be the next frontier here. And then like whole economies are going to be built around this whole like space race. Like they're already starting to do it. Like SpaceX and Elon have been talking about how they're going to actually start like they're running into a lot of trouble building these AI data centers on Earth, because of the like the protests and stuff like that are happening around these AI data centers. But I think that that's not even going to be a long-term problem, because actually they're going to start to build a lot of these data centers in space. It's going to look just like a satellite. It's going to look just like this. It's going to be a whole like data center. I don't even like the word data center. I'd rather call these things compute centers, where like you just like fill these things with compute and use these compute for like you can use them for AI, you can use them for mining, you can use them for like whatever you need it for. But like yeah, eventually all this stuff is going to be built in space. And the first step of that is building this moon base, and then using some of the like materials and stuff to build stuff there. And then you don't actually have to launch as much stuff from Earth, which is the hard, expensive part. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty wild. And like building like data centers and stuff like that in space are just like the first thing. Eventually, you can foresee like like you've seen in like movies and some of these sci-fi films, stuff like that. Like you're gonna have like communities built up here. You're gonna have like bases, like whole like societies that are orbiting around the Earth, and like people like living up there. Also, I can definitely foresee that you're gonna have people living and working on the moon, and then eventually you're gonna have people living and working on Mars. And there's gonna be like different like hopefully not centralized, but like governments and like network like societies like built up around all these different places. So yeah, wild times ahead. We're definitely living in the most times to be alive. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this all goes. So yeah, I mean those are the main topics I wanted to get into today. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. A lot more stuff happening this week. I've got Chris, my regular AI guy, probably going to be coming on this week, talk a little bit more about AI. And then I've got I actually did another podcast on Friday. It was pre-recorded, so that's coming out this week with another guy. And also I've got a guest coming on probably on Thursday or so to talk about a lot more about crypto and AI. So yeah, lots of stuff coming ahead. So keep tuning in. I'm here to kind of keep you on the front edge of all this stuff, of what's happening with crypto and AI and space and robotics and everything. Basically, the next frontier here, so that you can stay ahead of the curve. So yeah, talk to you guys soon. Peace out.